Keir, do you remember where you were, like the exact time and place that you were when the internet killed physical media?
I do, Mike. I was an editorial assistant and I was talking to another editorial assistant who explained how file sharing worked. He showed me the hundreds of albums he had downloaded via peer-to-peer sharing, and my mind just exploded.
I'm going to assume that your mind exploded with righteous outrage because you're like, notice in that moment how much money was being stolen from artists. And because in this moment you realized how in like lightning time, just a few short years, it would become practically impossible for recording artists to get compensated for their creativity and their hard work in just one swoop.
Yeah, right. That was it. Of course. Yeah. And I absolutely did not buy a new external hard drive just so I could download hundreds and hundreds of albums of my own.
Oh, I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that here.
Welcome to the Filmographer's Podcast, the show where we study a director's entire career, one film at a time. I'm Keir Graff.
And I'm Michael Moreci. In our first season, we've been turning the spotlight on Steven Soderbergh, one of Hollywood's most versatile and fascinating directors.
After last week's episode on Che, we're now halfway through his filmography. We really hope you'll join us, if you haven't already, on our journey to watch or rewatch all of Soderbergh's movies. Now, we're going to take a well-earned summer vacation starting next week, and we'll be back with our next regular episode, which is a deep dive into The Girlfriend Experience in September.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But in the meantime, we're not going away entirely. We'll have a brand new Filmographers Go to the Movies show on August 16th, given our reaction to Alien Romulus, which I am very excited about. And if you're not familiar with the Filmographers Go to the Movies, it's kind of like our side project, I guess you can say. It's like Keir and I give our responses to a brand new release. So we're kind of stepping out of the Soderbergh sphere for a moment. So far, we have covered Furiosa and Axel F. And you can find both those episodes exclusively on our YouTube channel.
And now for today's very special episode of the Filmographers, one we probably would have recorded back at the very beginning if we only knew what we were getting into. You see, when we started, it never even occurred to us that it might not be easy for people to find and watch Steven Soderbergh's earlier movies in the first place. Even the ones with George Clooney in them can be hard to find. It's absolutely mystifying. So we usually give a one-sentence summary of the film we're about to discuss, but today I would like you, Mike, to give us a one-sentence summary of why so many movies are hard to find.
All right, deep breath. We're going to do this. It's written down, so this should help, but we're going to do it anyway. In the, in the age of digital media and streaming content, it's easy to assume the movies and albums you want will always be just one click away. To which I say, ha! Movies get bounced from one provider to another, taking off streaming entirely, and DVD and Blu-ray releases can be short-lived and wildly unpredictable. I've always been a physical media guy. If I love a movie, I want to own the DVD, so no one can take it away from me. I don't know who would take it away from me, most likely somebody in my family. But I love physical media. I love the tactile experience. I love the extras. I am a director's commentary nut. And like if a DVD comes out with a director's commentary, like you can be sure that I'm in. I'm following, so many, I guess you could say boutique. I don't know if they're quite boutique, but like Criterion, Kino Lorber, all sorts of places that really put a little extra oomph into their physical release, physical releases. So I am deep in the physical release world. That's my one sentence there.
Mike, I lost track. I was trying to track the periods in there, but I think that was maybe at least a dozen sentences.
I think there were semicolons,
Okay.
actually.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is why I still have my record collection. All those albums I downloaded when I was younger and more foolish and less respectful of artists' rights. Those are trapped on an obsolete hard drive.
See, there you go. And now you're compensating artists for their work.
Absolutely, that too. Now, as a service to our listeners, we thought we would provide a quick primer on how to find and watch Soderbergh's first 18 films. Like, better late than never, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You keep telling yourself that, Keir, as much as you want.
Okay. So let's get started.
Whoa, slow down. Actually, before we provide this service to our wonderful, wonderful listeners, I want to quickly describe a service that they have been providing for us.
A service they have been providing for us, like a bake sale or a fundraising car wash.
Not, not to my knowledge. No, I mean they might. We're not sure, but it's actually a lot simpler than washing cars or baking delicious snacks. In fact, it doesn't even require leaving your house. Many of our committed and generous listeners have been gracious enough to leave us reviews, like Mark 54S, who said, "This is so nice." Quote, "First, a great idea for a podcast. Second, very knowledgeable host who have taken the time to kind of plan out their chats." True, true. Quick aside, very planned. Going back to the quote, "It's loose, but also organized in a thoughtful way. Soderbergh makes for a fascinating topic given his ups and downs. Very well done. Most of all, this podcast will make you want to watch more movies."
I love that. That's all we want to do is we want to make people watch more movies and enjoy them, enjoy talking about them. Fantastic review.
Yeah, mission accomplished. I think that's pretty sweet. There's another one from N Flynn 3 who said, "Very informative. The banter between the hosts is well researched and funny. They know their business and present it in a warm, thoughtful way."
Using the internet for good. How about that?
Every once in a while.
It can happen.
It can happen. It's either this or pirating. um, Listeners, we don't want to go too far into this, but listen, reviews and ratings are really, really helpful. We sincerely mean that. They cost nothing for you to do, and they are very, very valuable to us. If you have 2 minutes, if that's how long it even takes, 2 minutes, give us a rating or a review. Apple Podcast seems to be the best for it, but you're welcome to contribute wherever you get your podcast, and we'll be very, very grateful for it. And that, as they say, is that. And now, as they say in the biz, we can get on with the show.
Enough of your showbiz jargon, Mike. Yes, let's
That's
get
showbiz
going.
jargon from 74 years ago.
Yeah. Now, for the reasons Mike outlined earlier, any information we offer about streaming is only guaranteed on the day of recording. It could change tomorrow. I recommend an app called Real Good, ReelGood, as a quick and easy way to see who's streaming what at any given time. And if you're really crafty, you can, of course, use a VPN to find movies streaming on services you subscribe to in the US, but they're streaming in other countries. Netflix and other streamers, their offerings can vary from market to market. So, I have a friend who's always telling me what's good on, Australian Netflix at any given time. And before we get to Soderbergh's debut, I want to share one that's not a proper episode of the Filmographers podcast, but any collector, any true Soderbergh fan is going to want to have this little baby here.
Whoa, I didn't know you had that.
Yes, 9021 live, and this is a special one because you can find some of this stuff on the YouTubes, but this one has Soderbergh's director's cut. So this is the concert film, of course, he made for the prog rock band. Yes. There's also like kind of a little behind the scenes documentary about half an hour long. That's sort of fun. But this also has Soderbergh's director's cut without the special effects that he came to dislike. So you can find this one out of print, long out of print, but you can find them on eBay.
Wow. You know what? I feel like I need to see that for real because it looks like you printed that yourself and put it into a case from like Rush Hour, like your first DVD you ever got. when you bought your first DVD player.
No, it's real. It's real. It's legit. It's legit. I mean, yeah, you can print your own little labels and everything, but yeah, no, this
Which
was
my dad does do that. He does have
wow.
a long-standing hobby of pirating. Not pirating, he switches VHS to DVD.
Oh, sure.
I'm not sure why. That makes the quality somehow worse. Then but makes his own labels, labels the DVD. That he does it all.
That's some big dad energy. I love it.
It's true.
All right, Mike, how can we find Soderbergh's official debut?
Oh, yes, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. This one is relatively easy. You can see it right here. Okay, I kind of get it. My light isn't flattering to it, but the physical media, which is the way to go. Criterion, still in print, both Blu-ray and DVD. There's a non-Criterion as well that's still in print. I'm less familiar with the extras and what's included on that because I've never had that. I've only had this one. And the extras on this are really, really good. They helped out Keir and I a lot. I think getting us our sea legs in the show and like as we were still learning, our research and getting into the extra materials that we need for each episode. Like the criterion was stacked. There's like an intro from Soderbergh, interviews, commentary with Neil LaBute, which we talked about. I remember on our first episode. So you can find that in our archives. But you can also let's see, but you can buy it streaming, not rent on Prime, Apple TV, Vudo. It's like 12 to 14 bucks. So at that point, might as well just buy this guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so weird that you can buy but not rent on streaming. But yeah, oh well, get the Criterion. It's well worth it. Movie still holds up. It's not my top Soderbergh film, certainly, but it's well worth a rewatch if you haven't done it already. So I
Agreed.
will put my copy aside and moving on to his debut. Um, so Soderbergh's sophomore effort was already getting a little bit it's getting trickier to find. Do you have the DVD, Mike? Did you get our producer's copy, Kevin?
No, I mentioned he was gonna send it. I was like, no, 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 hold on to your copy. And I was gonna buy one because I think if I'm remembering correctly, like the really only way to get the physical copy is like an import from Korea. I mean, not like actually it's a Korean produced import.
I
Maybe
think that's correct.
Hey, producer Kevin here. Just want to talk about the Kafka DVD that Keir and Michael were talking about and clear up some of the misconceptions. This is from Korea. It is a Korean distributor that has these physical copies of just DVDs. USA does have VHS. If that's your thing, you can still find those on eBay for pretty cheap. But this DVD is also on eBay for pretty cheap too. This is usually less than $10. As you can see, even though the title is in English as well as the distributor itself right there. Everything else is in Korean. As you can see, we have Jeremy Irons credited here, Teresa Russell, Joel Grey, Ian Holm, which is very hard to read right there. And then Steven Soderbergh as if he is like the lead actor or, it didn't even say directed by or anything like that. And on the back here, you got the little synopsis in English. I'm assuming this is the synopsis in Korean. And also this is a region-free DVD. That means you can play it on any DVD and Blu-ray player anywhere in the world. You don't need to have a Korean specific region of Blu-ray player or DVD player. This can play on literally anything. So if you really want this for your collection, you can get it and it will work. It is watchable. And then you go inside and inside this cheap case, you got this DVD here that honestly just kind of feels like it's still hard to get out. Feels like almost as it was recorded onto a DVD. But yeah, that's it's Kafka on DVD. Less than $10 on eBay. No bonus features, unfortunately. Nothing at all. No deleted scenes, no commentary, no nothing. It's just the movie, subtitles, and that's it.
Personally, I'm holding out for a version of Kafka that also includes Mr. Neff, Soderbergh's recut of the film. I believe someday he's going to make all our dreams come true and release that. In the meantime, though, you can watch the movie streaming. It's an easy rent or buy on Amazon Prime. It's about $2 to rent, $8 to buy.
Yeah, yeah. It's just crazy that one's. Oh well, I guess not that it's not. I mean, I think the list goes on, we'll find out that there's crazier ones that are just as unavailable.
Yeah.
Going from there, his third film is Another Criterion. The Criterion just doing the movie gods works here. So the Criterion movie, I'm sorry, the Criterion edition is available still through Criterion, and Criterion discs you can buy on Amazon. If you don't know, there's usually 2 times a year that Criterion will have a 50% off sale on Barnes and Noble. It's in July and I believe February, if I'm not mistaken. And then Criterion.com will actually have twice a year flash sales that last for 50% off, which last for 24 hours, where you can get 50% off for I believe those happen in October and April, if I'm not mistaken. But those are also, you can find out when those happen online. But it's a good way. The Criterions do get a little pricey. They can be 30 to 40 to $50, depending if they're 4K. So the 50% off helps. But yeah, this is not streaming, though, anywhere. So Criterion is the way to go. Definitely pays off. It's definitely worth it. It's a movie that I think Keir and I both enjoy, but maybe don't love.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment. And that Criterion edition is really going to pay off on this next one, because I do not have a DVD of the Underneath, but holding this one up again, one of Soderbergh's worst movies shows up as one of the best DVD extras of all time. That's right, the entire film of The Underneath, with Soderbergh's director's commentary, is included on the King of the Hill Criterion edition. It's a twofer. So that is, 2 movies for the price of one, well worth it. And even though I don't love King of the Hill, I really enjoyed watching it. It's a very well-made movie, and it's beautiful to look at. It's just ultimately not completely successful for a number of reasons. So The Underneath, you can also get a Blu-ray from KL Studio Classics that has a commentary by Peter Tungette. You can get a DVD from Universal with a slightly different but not very good set of extras. Streaming, very hard to find. The only place I could find it listed as streaming using my Real Good app was Microsoft.
Which I didn't know that was a thing, really. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, I had no idea either. I mean, like, Bill Gates is the only person who's streaming from Microsoft, right? Like, he's still listening to music on his Zune, and he's streaming movies from whatever service Microsoft has. So yeah, you're not Bill Gates. You're gonna probably have to get it another way.
Yeah, I can't imagine how you would even find. I don't know if you need a player. Very bizarre. So yeah, The Underneath. Just get it. Just get King of the Hill. So next, one of my personal favorites, which, ta-da, big surprise, is a Criterion disc. What do you know? Now, this one, though, is a little trickier because Schizopolis is out of print, the Criterion edition. You could find it used on eBay. They're not terribly expensive. A lot of what you'll often find with Criterion, they sometimes have movies for a limited time in terms of like their license. They go out of print. I don't know how that relationship or those contracts work, but they go out of print, and most of the time those movies will shoot up in value. So something like The Killer, John Woo's The Killer, which is one of the Criterion's original movies. I think it was the second that they put out, or it's first 10, I believe. Because on the spine, it says the number on the spine tells you the number of release, the order of release. And The Killer now buying on eBay is very, very pricey. Killer costs a lot of money. The Third Man, which is a very popular movie, is out of print. Criterion costs a lot of money. Schizopolis is not quite as expensive. The demand,
it's not that cheap. The last time I looked, they were going for $60 or something. So
really,
yeah.
I got mine for cheap. I think I got mine for like 20 or so.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's the power of our podcast, Mike.
It's the filmographer's effect.
The filmographer's bump.
Yes, that's exactly why. So it is available. A little difficult to find, but you could get it weirdly on HBO Max, which is, I think a few people still have that.
Hey, I've got it.
I might have it. I don't even know what I have at this point. Or you could rent it for $4 on Prime. It's available at least right now.
Somewhat surprisingly to me, Soderbergh's 6th movie, Grey's Anatomy, is also a Criterion edition. I don't own a copy. When I was looking, I didn't want to spend it at that moment, because that one is also streaming on HBO Max. That's how I watched it. You can also rent it for $3 on Prime. So I do not have a copy of Grey's Anatomy to hold up and bandy about. I do hope to get one because I am kind of gradually trying to fill in my whole Soderbergh physical media collection. But yeah, that's a tough one to find. The Criterion Blu-ray is out of print. The regular DVD is out of print. So kind of good luck. HBO Max or Prime are your best options for Grey's Anatomy.
Maybe you could find somebody in the Spalding Gray archives because we haven't covered it yet, and everything is going fine. The next one that we're going to cover is also a Criterion movie. So if you can find someone who has that cross of Spalding Gray and Criterion and doesn't want the discs anymore, maybe you can get another twofer and get them both.
Yeah, I hope so. It's crazy in a way. I mean, Soderbergh's early films are well represented on Criterion, which is fantastic. Hopefully some of the later ones are going to get the Criterion treatment as well. But I find it very surprising that both the Spalding Gray films got the Criterion treatment. They're worth watching. They're not top of my list.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I mean, Criterion really feasts on extras and supplemental materials. There's really not a whole lot that goes into those. But better that they are than not, I suppose.
Yep.
Now next, so if you find it surprising that Grey's Anatomy got the Criterion treatment, I find it downright mystifying that this movie did not. It is actually my favorite Soderbergh movie, and I can't believe it's not on Criterion, but it's actually with somebody I do love. Kino Lorber put out a really just an absolutely terrific, I don't know actually how Criterion can up this, to be honest. I do like Criterion's casing better, but Kino Lorber's 4K of Out of Sight is pretty terrific. There's a great commentary with great commentary with Scott Frank and Soderbergh, which is one of the better Soderbergh commentaries. One of the least contentious, at least, which is nice. There's great documentaries, behind the scenes stuff. The transfer is really, really great. I would definitely recommend getting this through Kino Lorber. I think it's $20. It's just a reasonably normally priced 4K disc, and I think you can still get it on like Keir held up to. I think you can get it just a normal Blu-ray as well. You can also get it streaming, at least right now. It's on the Criterion channel, so they're kind of messing with us a little, Keir. But it is streaming on Criterion channel, and you could rent it on Amazon Prime for like $4, or you can buy it for like 17, which at that point, it's so bizarre to me when people buy things. I get the VOD for movies that just came out in theaters, and they're in that space between like wide availability, their theatrical release and wide availability. So like Kevin Costner's Horizon is like right now like $20. I get that, but like a movie that's years old, I don't know why anybody would pay $20 for that. I mean, you can just get the DVD but sometimes I'll just buy the DVD because it's actually less than it is for digital.
Yeah. I mean, buying something on somebody else's platform like Amazon or whatever, you didn't really buy it. You parked it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
It's not really yours. Stuff like that can disappear. I would never recommend it unless, I mean, there have been a couple of times when a movie cost $8 to buy, and I knew I was going to watch it multiple times, so maybe I did, but that's my last option generally.
Yeah, I think that's it's just a way to go. It's just another reason for physical media, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
So next up, The Limey, my favorite Soderbergh movie. So I spent a long time scrutinizing this Blu-ray before I bought it. Umbrella Entertainment is an Australian company, and I wasn't familiar with them. I was afraid I was going to get something that was coded for Region 4, but I bought it. Plays great. Well worth it. Good audio commentary with Soderbergh and our favorite, Lem Dobbs. This is one of the classic commentary tracks in the Soderbergh universe. You've got it. This is going to be a massive lift, but I really do want to do at some point a show or at least a ranking of Soderbergh commentary tracks, because he's one of the best in the business when it comes to commentary tracks. He's not afraid to bring people on who will challenge him. He'll make some interesting choices. It's not like those commentary tracks where people sit around going like, oh, remember that? That was awesome. It's like film school. He talks about his reasons for doing things. But the Lem Dobbs one is just entertaining because Dobbs is making his points and arguing with Soderbergh and saying how he did everything wrong. And Soderbergh mostly lets him, doesn't push back too much, but we know who was right.
Yeah, he lets Lemdob really just have the rope to hang himself, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a quick aside, Umbrella Entertainment's really great for anybody listening. They are, Keir's right, they're Australian, so it's hard to like discern if they will play. They do, and they've released just recently. They did this great release that I still want to get of Red Rock West, one of my favorite movies.
One of my favorites,
Yeah,
Montana Boys, the Dolls.
oh yes. Oh, I mean, Doll. I mean, there would be a great filmographer season. Is he is so awesome.
I once drove all the way across Montana for like an hour-long talk by John Dahl, and he looked at me like I was crazy, but it was fantastic. I got to meet him, speak with him, and just yeah, Red Rock West should be more than a cult classic. Great movie.
Yeah. Well, Keir, I mean, that Umbrella release. This might be your lucky day because that thing looks really great. The packaging looks great. Looks. I think it's like $50 though. But Umbrella is really cool if you're one of these physical media nerds like us. And I'm jealous of your Limey edition. I wanted to pull the trigger on it. I didn't.
We can't afford all of this crap we want.
No, have we mentioned our Patreon?
Join our Patreon. Help subsidize this show so we can buy more DVDs and
support our habit.
The Limey, you can it's also currently streaming on Criterion. It is included with Prime Video, and it's also on a lot of weird streamers right now, like Hoopla and Canopy. I think those are like library services. So you may be able to get those through your local public library. Pluto TV, Plex, Freevee, places you can watch with ads, but nobody wants to do that. So anyway, readily available film.
Yeah, and celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. So
yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the Limey. Mike, what do we have next?
Yeah, next, well, for this one, call it the Oscar effect, call it the effect of, the power of putting Julia Roberts in anything. But Erin Brockovich is and probably will be available forever to watch. It's easily available. I never have seen a special edition DVD Blu-ray of Erin Brockovich. So unfortunately, there's not a souped up physical release of it. It was included with Netflix, but I think it's gone now, Keir?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it was there for a long, long time. But just again, to illustrate how things come and go from streamers, you can't count on them. It's gone.
Yeah, so it was on Netflix, may return, but not anymore. You can rent it or buy it on Amazon, and it's to be as well free, but again with commercials.
Yeah, and I just got this cheap Blu-ray. I mean, you can buy them for nothing. Probably $8-9. That way you've got it. So Traffic, same probably as Erin Brockovich. Even though it doesn't have Julia Roberts, we've got the Oscar effect, power of the Oscars. We got, maybe it's also the power of Michael Douglas and Benicio del Toro, less so Topher Grace. But you got your Criterion edition. The Blu-ray and the DVD versions are both still available from Criterion. I checked last night. It's actually 20% off at the moment. So I don't know if they're just discounting them because they've got more stock than they know what to do with, but you can pick them up for about, I think, $32. And it also is streaming. It's on Netflix. You can rent or buy on Amazon. A couple of months ago, it was on at least a half dozen other streamers. But when I looked last night, I just was seeing it on Canopy, which again, I think is one of those things that you can get through your library.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I do Hoopla, and there's the Hoopla library. I can tell you comes and goes pretty regularly. That stuff changes pretty often. So we should not get overconfident because today it seems like these movies are available forever. But what about when we're old men, Keir? What about then? I mean, the Ocean's trilogy was included with Hulu not long ago, and now gone. Yeah. No more. None of them are on there. They took the whole thing. Not even 12. They didn't even leave us 12.
Nobody even wanted 12. They could have kept it.
Nobody even would notice. They could. So buy them while you can. Even Ocean's 11, which is available, physical media. It's I don't have Ocean's 11. Wait, do I have Ocean's 11? Yeah, I do have Ocean's 11.
You forgot you had it.
Here it is. Do have Ocean's 11, just a regular straight up standard Blu-ray. It does have a commentary track by Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, and Brad Pitt. Commentary from Steven Soderbergh and Ted Griffin, which I've listened to, is really good. So there's a little bit of extras on there, but there is also a pricey steelbook recently released. I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but they just released a 4K version of it that you can get, I believe individually, but at the very least there was a 4K trilogy release. I mean, like just this month. So I'm talking July, by the way, for anybody listening. For the meantime, for streaming, if we're looking at that, the flights across the country.
He's probably listening to this right now and watching it on streaming on their inflate.
I'm flying tomorrow, and I'm going to specifically check if any of the oceans are available, and I will report back. But you can rent it for $4 on Prime, Apple TV, Microsoft, yet again, Vudu, or you could buy it for $15, which again is more than it would cost to buy the standard physical media. I don't know about what the cost of the 4K is. Surely more.
Good old Microsoft, man. So Soderbergh got back to basics in filmmaking with Full Frontal, which is back to being hard to find. Both the Blu-ray and the DVD are out of print. They are available from independent sellers, but I would like to offer a little, cautionary buyer beware, because what may happen for you is what happened to me. This one, you can see what's inside. That is not Full Frontal. It was some sort of it was a biblical story, and I don't know really who produced it or what religious what church was behind it, but the outside of the case, that is for Full Frontal, said, "See it, you won't be disappointed." Well, I was disappointed with what was actually in it, so I had to order a second copy, and this second copy magically did have a Full Frontal DVD in it. It was not Blu-ray, but it was functional. It played. So it's not streaming anywhere. It's out of print. There aren't that many of them out there. So if you want to, if you're worried about the filmographer's bump, get out there on the secondary markets and buy your copy of Full Frontal today.
Yeah, and as Keir mentioned earlier, with the release of Kafka / Mr. Neff, and if you want to learn more about that cut of the film, listen to our Kafka episode 2. But there was, I don't want to say rumor, there was news released last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, but from Soderbergh, you can't see in the audio, but I'm wearing the t-shirt extension 765, which is Soderbergh's website, which is just ext765.com, which is Soderbergh's home. He has a blog there that maybe 2 posts a year, not very much, but that's where he puts the cuts of his movie, the cuts of other people's movies that he makes is on that website, like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It also used to have a store, which he sold t-shirts from, that he had a major blowout sale a couple months ago that Keir and I bought a couple shirts from it, as a matter of fact, but it has nothing anymore. But through his website, he was going to release a collection of films that he, according to him, gotten the rights back to and was going to touch up and do whatever with and add some bonus stuff on. And one of those was Full Frontal, which is probably the reason it's out of print, because maybe the rights have reverted to Soderbergh and he has not either given the rights to somebody else, A, or B, is holding on to them for this release that was going to include Kafka, Schizopolis, Full Frontal, and Keir, correct me if I'm wrong, Bubble as well, I believe.
I would think so, yeah.
I think it was those 4 that were all going to be collected in this like souped up, redone, remastered, recut, who knows, set. And it was mentioned, and then it just disappeared. If you look at Reddit, it gets brought up by film fans often, questioning where this set is, if there's been any news. But to my last checking, which was probably like a week ago, there hasn't been any updates since.
This is like James Cameron and Abyss. He's just too busy with new projects to go back and give the fans what they want. Well, actually, I don't know how many fans want these old films, but we do. Yeah,
I would love it.
Soderbergh's probably just got so many movies in production that he's just too busy to attend to it. But I hope he gets around to it.
I hope so too. And hey, that's a great segue, Keir, because speaking of James Cameron, it's another surprise, Solaris, which I do have the disc, just a DVD, despite having George Clooney in it and on the cover, and produced by by James Cameron, which it also says on the cover, produced by James Cameron, directed by Steven Soderbergh, Stanislaus Lem, classic sci-fi novel, George Clooney's mug, front and center. This never got a Blu-ray release, which to me is crazy. Crazier is that the DVD is out of print.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. It's you can, again, like we've said other things, it's available on the secondary market. You can find it. It's not terribly expensive, but like the idea that you can't really find a brand new copy of this, and there's no Blu-ray, no plans of re-release is pretty wild. I mean, it wasn't really a hit at all, but it wasn't a tremendous bomb either. It's not like a movie that people don't like. It's I think it's just a middle of the road fine movie that some people like, some people don't. But yeah, I'm mystified by this one.
Absolutely mystified. I mean, it's made after the turn of the millennium. It's not that old.
Yeah, I mean, what year was it? 2002, one, something
Yeah,
like
2002.
2002. Yeah. You can, in terms of digital, you can rent it or buy it on Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Voodoo. Rental is about $4. Buying it is 15.
I just kept, putting Microsoft in the list because it amused me so much.
Is that real?
Berwin. Yeah, no, I can get that up. Okay, so like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12 isn't hard to find. It's hard to avoid. They recently came out with a Steelbook. I can't believe I own the Steelbook, but whatever. I was gonna buy a copy, and this just seemed more appealing to me than it's packaged so many different ways. Like the Oceans 11, 12, and 13, you can get them in like cheap DVD collections where you get like 3 for 1 and a cheaply packaged thing. But the steelbooks are nice. They're not like my favorite editions of things. I like the case of them a lot more than a plastic case, that's for sure. At any rate, so you can get the steelbook for about $30, probably discounted tomorrow. Because I mean, let's face it, is there that much demand for Ocean's 12? The Blu-ray costs about the same, but like I said, you could probably get a $10 DVD that's got all 3 movies if that's all you want. Streaming, you can rent or buy on Prime, Apple, Vudu, Microsoft, or you can find it in the seat back in your in-flight movie.
Right. So following Ocean's 12, this unjustly overlooked Soderbergh gem is also just too hard to find, but it is worth the effort. Keir and I both agree. It's not streaming anywhere, so physical media is your only option, which is just tragic. But the DVD has not one set, but 2 commentaries. So it's loaded with value. I mean, just that alone is pretty cool. You can tell, I don't know, you can tell Soderbergh really was into this project and really loved it, and gave it the best shot he can. It's just unfortunate the reception, but you could get the DVD for relatively cheap on Amazon, eBay. There are a few Blu-rays out there, but I didn't encounter many at all. Those were really, really hard to come by. So yeah, I don't know, maybe those were the ones. If you remember in our episode, there was actually Bubble being sold in movie theater lobbies when it was released. So maybe those were the Blu-rays. Maybe that was like a limited print of it. I'm not exactly sure, but very hard to find, very unfortunate. Can't get on streaming, so you're gonna have to go to the secondhand market for that one.
Yeah. So The Good German, Soderbergh's 16th film, is another mid-period piece that just did not get the recognition it deserves. I mean, this is really one of his better films. I hope you all check out our recent episode on that. Uh, Mike went on a deep dive, and we had a fantastic conversation about it. But as far as physical media, it's a tough one. There's no Blu-ray. Again, very surprising. Another Clooney movie with no Blu-ray, and this one was 2006. DVDs are available on the secondary market, but buyer beware.
Yeah, I had to return a DVD that wouldn't play at all. It played a little, but skipped and like went backwards and just it wasn't seemingly scratched. So I don't know.
Yeah, I had to return two that wouldn't play. I tried twice, neither of them would work. So I just gave up. I do not own a physical copy of that. Very frustrating. It is streaming on Cinemax, if any of you still get Cinemax, and which is a perfect Cinemax movie for sure. A depressing movie about the post World War II. And you can rent or buy it on Prime, Apple, or Vudu. So at least it is still pretty easy to stream right now.
Right. Yeah. At least, I mean, there is at least a option, which is good. After Good German, after Bubble, Soderbergh goes back to playing the hits. He's, we know the drill by now with this one, Ocean's 13. There is, I'm going to go to Keir. Keir has the steelbook of it, which you can get for like $30. There's Blu-rays, same thing, Ocean's 12. There's lots of options, collections. You can get the whole thing. There's the 4K recent release. You can rent it, buy it on Prime, Apple, Vudu, Microsoft. So this one's an easy one to find in any way you want to find it.
Absolutely. And finally, for now, the fantastic movie or movies we discussed last week, Che Part 1, The Argentine, and Che Part 2, Gorilla. Here you've got the Criterion edition, the Blu-ray. It comes in 2 discs. The DVD is 3 discs. This is still in print. There's also a weird collector's edition DVD available on Amazon for about $28. I didn't investigate that too much because I didn't need to. The Criterion has got the goods you need. It's got some fantastic extras. There is a British documentary that was filmed at the time of Che's death that is just, I was kind of holding my breath. It just felt like I was being transported back into the past. I know that the various stuff in this, including the booklet, was invaluable to the research for the episode. So well worth it. This is, again, like a movie that kind of didn't get the love that it deserved at the time, or still hasn't, but Mike and I both just love this movie. Really amazing viewing experience. So so absolutely get this. Streaming, you can. It's kind of weird. It's on like AMC Plus, DirecTV, Canopy, Philo, Roku. The heavy hitters, but it is also on Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. One more thing in my stack. This is not one we haven't done this episode yet, but when we come back in September, we'll be talking about The Girlfriend Experience, which again is going to be a little hard to find, but it's out there. And I just have to share that I got a really nice thing when I ordered mine on the secondary market from a reseller. They sent me a bonus movie, and they could tell from my interest in a weird arty Soderbergh film that I would really enjoy this one as well. Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. I mean,
Wow.
who needs Amazon's algorithm when you have a small reseller and wherever I got this from?
They really did that? Is that for real?
Yeah, that's for real. They just a nice little note said, "Thank you for your purchase. Included a bonus movie. Enjoy."
That was a bonus movie of like, fuck it, we gotta get rid of some discs.
Exactly right. Like, whenever you go to a shop and they say, here's a free thing, it's like they don't want to carry it out to the trash.
Right, exactly. It's like this thing's been listed for 75 cents for too long.
Well, I think that's a wrap on the first half of Finding Soderbergh's films.
Yeah, and I hope everyone enjoyed this. It's kind of we know this stuff changes all the time, but I think it's a cool look at like, one, just to see where you find these movies, and two, like how the impermanence of movies, like Keir said, or one of us said at the top of the show, it's like we think that these archives, these physical, I'm sorry, that these digital spaces are like basically archives that'll be last forever, but they're not, they just are not. And it's good to know that there's options to finding the movies you love still. And there's too many movies. I mean, we haven't learned the lesson from so many movies of the silent era and even beyond that have been utterly lost, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but movies need preservation, and the digital outlet is not the way to preserve them, I don't believe. But anyway, so we're going on our hiatus. But before we do, I just want to thank listeners for tuning in. Keir and I both have been really, truly blown away by the response to our little show here. And we're just so happy. We're so happy to be able to continue to do this. We're ready, have had many conversations about season 2 and what director. And I think we're going to do polls and trying to get input. But we're so happy to be doing this. And we're just glad that you are all along for the ride of this journey, the cinephilia journey that we're taking. It's been a blast, and we appreciate everyone who's giving us their time and attention. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. And before we go, I do want to share one more message. You've inspired me, Mike. We never shared this fantastic email from listener Jeff we got a few months ago. Jeff wrote, "I'm listening to your Out of Sight episode, loving it. This kind of deep dive into a movie I love, it's pure manna from heaven. And when you got to the part where you mocked Jonathan Rosenbaum, the most unpleasant snob of a movie critic ever, it made me laugh out loud. Thanks, Jeff. That's the kind of connection that makes it all worthwhile."
Finally, we turned the tides against Rosenbaum. There's one thing we accomplish. I'm glad we have an arch enemy. I'm glad there's can't be a hero without a villain, right?
That's right. That's right. He's definitely done long and loyal service to the film arts. We just come at it from different points of view.
Yeah, we appreciate Rosenbaum. This is all. I hope everyone knows this is all in good fun. So, listeners, if you have any tips on finding Soderbergh's older movies, or if you just want to tell us something awesome from your own collection, be sure to let us know. We love hearing stuff like that. We love having a communal conversation with what we're doing. So you can always reach us on Instagram at the Filmographers, or on X at FilmographerPod, and on Letterboxd at Filmographers. Or, just send us a good old-fashioned email at thefilmographerspodcast@gmail.com.
If you enjoy our podcast, please show your support by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/thefilmographerspodcast. Every dollar makes it easier for us to produce this show and share our passion for movies with you. Honestly, just joking aside, we will not spend your Patreon dollars on buying copies of DVDs. That would just help pay for some of our editing and hosting costs and things like that. But you can even join at Patreon at the free level. That lets us know you're on our team. Join Team Filmographers. We're the ones who wear sunscreen because we're sitting in the dark all day. We thank you in advance.
And as always, thank you to Kevin Lau, our producer, Gompson, who composed and played our theme music, and Cosmo Graff, who designed our logo.
Now enjoy our time off and use it wisely. Watch Soderbergh movies. We'll be back in September to talk about The Girlfriend Experience,
which is not streaming anywhere.
I'm so glad I never gave up my VHS tapes.
I feel the same way about my Betamax.
And my Laserdiscs.
And my 16 millimeter library prints.
My film strips.
And my cassette tapes.
I draw the line at 8 tracks.
I think my line... Edison cylinders. You're
a little more of a physical media guy than I am. Have a great summer, everyone. Thank you.